Morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel. 8:10 a.m. It's July 24th. Yesterday, I wouldn't call it a gap and go. Tried to fill the gap, failed. Pushed lower. Now fired off up first. Then it pushed lower into demand zones in both the Nasdaq and the ES. That was the low. Had a little bounce, ranged. Tried to go lower, couldn't, and then finally, literally went back to the open at the close. And then you had Intel's earnings. They beat. They are up 2.85%. They were up a lot more, but they're up 2.84%. So yesterday, I'll tell you one thing, that was not easy to trade that. I took a couple losses. I tried to get a long close to the open. It was working. Then I got break even. Then I tried two more longs. Didn't work. Yesterday, very weird. Like I said, huge gaps like that. Very hard to trade. Even those semis, um, never really gave it up yesterday off the open. Even Micron and stuff like that really didn't falter that much. But some stocks like Tesla, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft were down pretty good. Okay, even Google. So, just a very difficult market. Okay. Yesterday was one that, retrospect, the first long I was okay with. The second one I would say was just okay. The third was, I would give it a C. Because when I was trading it, I waited patiently. However, was I seeing like this unbelievable flashing lights of a long? No. And that's usually when I look back at my trades to say, was I really like, wow, I'm getting exactly. I mean, I did get my limit order filled. I did get criteria filled, but was it like unbelievable? No. So, and these are just little adjustments, right? So I always like to share you guys my trading journey. This week is probably my worst week I've had. And I don't know, 10, 11 weeks, maybe even more than that. It's not even monstrous. I think I'm down close to 4R. So basically, I don't even have a win this week. Even though I've had past trades I talked about that I almost took that would have been winners. Um, I'm not. It's not like I'm not seeing the market. It's just this is the way trading goes, right? You can't be profitable every week. You can check on my Discord. I pretty much have a very good track record every week. In even my weeks that I don't do that well, it's barely even a -1R. So this week is, I guess maybe I was due for one of these weeks, and I'm not even trading horrendous, right? I know a couple of small decisions would have made my trading week better, but that's just trading. What can you do about it? All right. With that being said, let's get into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile, buying profile to find structure marks along supply and demand, gamma exposed levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, the previous day. That is my edge where I come up with my game plans. Now, when that market opens, I use my market internals to find where money flows are going. Okay. Along with a little ICT, anchor view ops, my weekly expected move indicator for Thinkorswim that I give away for free on my Discord, along with gamma flip points that I give away for free on my Discord. All that wrapped up. Basically, my own proprietary trading system. I hope you now. Hopefully, you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. Give you the market news, the economic calendar, technical analysis, and I always give you the long and short trade scenarios and the ES and NASDAQ features later on in the stream. If you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Moving on to the futures watch list here. Let's see who's leading. Silver. Silver is up 1.29%. Russell's up 0.46. Ethereum up 0.43. Dow's up 0.40. Bitcoin up 0.34. ES up 0.29. Nasdaq's up 0.23. Gold up 0.22. 30-year bonds are being bought. Dollar is flat. 10-year yield is down 0.68. VIX is down 0.80, and crude is down 2.67. Over $90 a barrel yesterday. Brent went over 100, and there's really no reason but maybe some profit taking, because there's not like negotiations happening or anything like that. Nothing. Trump's actually talking about tariffs. So pretty crazy. It's crazy times. Okay. Mag 7 Plus. Let's look at this. We have Intel with purporting earnings beats at 3%. Microsoft up 1.17. AMD up 1%. Tesla's up 0.88. Tesla's been decimated. All right. And we have Eli Lilly down 0.30 and Micron down 0.83. So Micron's down this morning. This is a very muted market this morning. There's not a lot going on here. Top sectors. Oracle up 2.19, Salesforce up 1.16. So software getting low this morning. So Salesforce up 1.61, NEM up 1.22. I believe they reported earnings. Palantir up 0.92. Software. See, software every day. Software's down or up. And Chevron and Exxon, they're laggards. Okay, sectors very muted today. Every day, it's been about semis and tech or energy pre-market. Today, it's muted. There's nothing that's outsized loser or winner. All right, technology is the leader, or industrials, but barely. Okay, up 0.30, up 0.29. The only laggard is energy. So for right now, this market is very muted. Nothing's charging strong or weak today. All right, let's move on. Economic calendar. There's finally something on this economic calendar. So I would caution trading early on, unless there's an undeniable trade at like 9:35, because 9:45 you have PMI, 10 a.m. you have new home sales. Okay, so they might have to wait for the dust to settle after 10 a.m. Right? If you're in a killer trade at 9:35, maybe you can hold, go to break even. Okay. Now, the latest news. Let me just refresh this, because sometimes it didn't update today. Okay. So basically, what's the story here? Let's just go back to the main page. So there's nothing good going on in the Middle East. Okay, like I said, I think when Brent oil went over 100, it was profit taking. There's nothing. I mean, Trump just said he's gonna bring more bombs than ever, or whatever he said recently. And it doesn't matter if it's real or not. There's just no deal. I think a deal was just rejected by Iran. So, just a quick earnings, because there's nothing really major this morning. But remember, Intel reported yesterday. Newmont did report. Verizon this morning, Charter Communications, American Express, and Terra Energy all reported. Okay, back here now. So what's being said here? U.S. stocks are finding some respite after posting their biggest drop this month as Brent crude eased below $100 a barrel and bond yields halted their ascent. All right, just earlier, I think a little bump in the market got because the Pakistan's foreign minister emphasized the importance of de-escalating tensions, expressed concern over the rising tensions. That's literally it. Okay. Like I said, President Trump was talking about tariffs. It says EU commenting on Trump tariffs. It notes positively that this outcome is in line with U.S. tariff commitments agreed under the EU-U.S. joint statement. So new tariffs. It's pretty crazy. Okay, Trump speaks at 3 o'clock today. We don't really have to go over his schedule. That's really the only thing that's there. Economic calendar. We went over to PMI. This is not refreshed, so we're going to bypass that. We can go right into okay, let's look at the dispersion spread that I have. We back and went to made all-time highs yesterday. All-time highs in this dispersion spread. Oh, I'm sorry, not yesterday. Yesterday it came down. That's why we went down. Boom. Okay. Does this get more like dispersion finally came off a little bit yesterday? Let's see the core 3M. That rose. It was down here in the sevens. So whenever that happens, the market goes lower. Okay. Now, does this continue? If it does continue, we're going to fall farther. Okay. So just to reiterate that dispersion is real. All right. Now, if we want to talk about, oh boy, let's refresh this. If we want to talk about just breadth from yesterday, right? I don't care about the 200. I want the 20. All right. So breadth, understandably, yesterday got weaker. 44% over the 20-day. This number should be higher for the 50-day. 60% are still over the 50-day moving average. Our market is still middling, folks. Okay. Now, bullish percent index of the S&P 500. This is just a percent of how much are on buy signals. 55%. See, the market, our markets are still just middling, even with that drop. Just middling. Nothing to see. But the tech, okay. This is important. Okay. NDX. So which is the NASDAQ, the QQQ, same thing. Okay. NQ futures, the same thing. It's 100 stocks. That is getting oversold. Now, can it go down? If we go down below the 30% on buy signals, this is where you have to be very interested in a bounce. That's going to happen. Now, let's drill down one more into the actual tech sector. Okay. Now, historically, look, when you come down to the 20%, below the 20%, right? The 20%, you get a rally. You get a rally. Now, how far can this go? I don't know. Keep it on your watch. This is now starting to get a little overcooked. Okay. We're still in July. There's still earnings. Now, the other ones that I'm looking at is the financials. Still pretty overbought. And let's see healthcare. Healthcare came back in a little bit. Okay. That's really all I wanted to go over there. Okay. So tech starting to get a little overdone. All right, let's go to the market internals. We'll recap it. So yesterday, boy, was this a mixed bag. This was a mixed bag. Okay. This was a mixed bag. I saw the rally off the open. I didn't really give me an entry that I typically like. It just exploded. It would have worked if I entered, right? So right off the bat in the beginning, the market wasn't really weak, wasn't really strong, right? Then it had some weakness, right? Dropped through this major negative gamma level in the SPX. Okay. Rallied, then grind it lower until it pushed back. I was saying in my live stream, this is the low day. I don't see us falling any more farther than that. That came to fruition. Now look, tech was not really weak. Industrials, healthcare were strong. Communications and consumer discretionary were your laggards. Okay. So, and semis were not really weak either. Not an easy day with the big gap. Really, at the end of the day, big gaps are just not easy at the end of the day. Okay. They're just not. All right, let's move over to the daily charts. We actually had a significant level breached, finally. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't know how much this is, right? So finally, what did we do? Right? Broke the previous week's lows. But notice how when we opened, we pushed up into last week's range. Right? We did. Boom. But then the market came down and made these lows. And then you kind of have like kind of a doji from yesterday. What explains it? Explains yesterday, right? Pre-market, we are at 740.40. So we're at the upper third of yesterday's range. But we're inside yesterday's range right now. So it makes it, the overnight high and low very important. Okay. Let's look at futures. Okay. So futures, you do have now a daily supply zone here, starting around 7,500, right, to about 7,564. So we came down here, made a nice excess low, still below last week's lows. Okay, we did breach last week's lows. Is this resistance today? It could be. If we stay below last week's lows, it's pretty bearish. Now, remember I said about this ugly demand zone here, that kind of held the markets. Let me just put that on here because it really, let me just put this here. All right. Say it's ugly, but I'd like to see it on the screen. That did hold the market. Okay. And if I put this daily supply, you know what that's going to mean? A very, very hard market to trade. Okay. It's not going to be easy. I don't think there's a much today based on this. I don't see, just off this chart, an outsized move today. It's going to be hard for me to see that. Maybe it happens. I'm talking about probabilities. A major demand, daily demand, and a major daily supply that was just made. Do we really make an outsized move and break this low and break that high? I don't see that. I don't think that's realistic. And again, news or whatever can break that, but that's the probability I'm seeing. All right, Qs. Now, the Qs I thought was going to try to make down to the previous lows, monthly lows and previous week lows. It didn't. Okay. See that we came up here, broke last week's close, failed, went down, and had, like I said, kind of not the perfect doji, but a kind of a balanced day, right? Now, where are we now? 693, 694s, let's just call it 694s. You are around yesterday's open, pretty much in the middle of, closer to kind of the middle of yesterday. Okay. Again, not telling us much, right? Futures. So you have this like a daily supply zone now formed from yesterday. And now you have support. Look at that. The 284s, I talked about this yesterday. Is the 284 is going to get hit? Came very close, right? So, like I said, this could this make it all the way back up to the 293s? I don't know. I really don't know. You have a big gap above, okay? I think today, let's see. I really don't know. Right now, the market's very muted. It's very muted right now. All right, let's go into the hourly charts now. Oop. One sec, I apologize. I just moved one of my windows here. Okay, let's go to the ES. All right, this is the hourly charts. Okay, so is this marker going to work today? Yes. Okay. So I didn't really notice this yesterday. However, we broke this trend. Okay. Right here. And you retested that trend line right into this bearish value gap yesterday. I didn't really realize that. I'm not saying I would have shorted it. Okay. But that then did that. Oof. Right. we came into a demand zone. That was the bottom. There's a high volume node for around 75.25 from the past. It could not accept price below that. Okay, that's why I keep these high volume nodes, composite high volume nodes from the past year. Okay, so what have we been doing since here? Making higher lows. Stacked demand in the ES. Bearish fair value gap here, right? And the story was we had a range up here. We get a range here. Now, are we making a new range here? Or are we going to come back up into this range? I don't know. Okay. This is poor structure. If there is strength, this market can rip back up into here. If there is not, we make new ranges. And as we make new ranges, notice lower range, lower range, lower range. That's bearish. Okay. So, right now, like I said, this is what we're doing. Right? We're kind of recovering. So, and there is an unfilled gap above us with poor structure. Right? The move down would be a little harder. It doesn't mean it can't do it. It's just going to have to work a lot harder than the move up. And I don't know right now. Right now, I'm open. I can't really say, oh, I'm dying for a short or a long. Okay. NASDAQ. Alrighty. Here's your NASDAQ. Okay. So now the NASDAQ is not as strong this morning, surprisingly. Maybe that slight weakness, because I do see some memory stocks are down a little bit this morning. Micron's slightly down, almost 1%. Okay. So is SanDisk and those. I see the South Korean ETF is down as well. So this is a little different story here. Now, you do have the unfilled gap above. You do have poor structure, but it's not as strong this morning. It's not. You do have this equal high here that's probably going to get broken at 287s. 287s is that level. It's a pivot level. Happens to be the most traded price of yesterday. I talked about this level yesterday a lot. Okay, that 287. So that's a pretty little mini bull bear line, that 287. Now above this, break this supply, you can have a ride up, right? And you have some demand. Now notice when I showed you the ES, it was like higher low, higher low, higher low, and a nice move up. This is not as bullish of a move. Okay, we did not hit the 284s yesterday, right? But the market's muted right now. Who knows what's going to be driving the markets this morning? This week, we have not seen, and that's what's making this market not easy. Okay, we have not seen a market that's working together. Okay, and let's just look here. Okay, notice there's green shoots and red shoots all in the same picture. I think the last time I saw a market that worked together was last Friday when we had a gap down and everything was green. And I was like, okay, I just want to pull back to go long. Other than that, every day there has been mixed. And which makes this market more complex is it's not only like, let me explain it here. So let me show you this watch list here. Let me go to the sectors here real quick. And if I bring you to my, no, hold on. I want to bring you to, oh, wait a minute, hold on. All right, this watch list here. That's not personal. Okay. This particular watch list. Okay. It's another little watch list I look at constantly. Okay. So you can see pre-market SK Hynix, right? SanDisk down. This is the South Korean market down 2%. SpaceX, right? And then I just see little pockets of the market like the MAGs, right? MAG 7 ETF. You can see the software ETF, right? So this is why the NASDAQ with SanDisk, SK Hynix, the South Korean market is just a little weaker, right? You have to factor in this now into our markets. It's like a new section that moves our markets. All right. Now, typically, the MAGs was the thing that the market cared about. Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, whatever they did, along with Google, Meta, the market just did it. Now, the MAGs, I've seen it this week, have been weak, and the memory stocks have been strong, and we went higher. Yesterday, MAGs was weak. And finally, it brought down the market, even though semis were not. SanDisk and Micron were not. So this is what makes this market a very push and pull market. Okay, just wanted to point that out. This is a new like regime of our market. Factoring in how the Kospi's doing, factoring in the memory stocks, and they're heavily weighted. So that's why it's like that. Okay. Now we're going to go to the market profile, volume profile. It's another layer that you have to be aware of. Okay. And it kind of has to get my mind to adjust to it, being honest with you. I have to adjust now to these factors. It used to just be like Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia. What are they doing? Great. As long as they're cool, we're good. Nope. Can't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore. Okay. This is your market profile, volume profile. Okay. Now, we're going to get into it here. Okay. So the first thing here that you'll notice right off the bat is yesterday's session was huge. It was almost 75 points. Now you have an overnight session nestled inside of it. Nestled inside of it. Okay. So with that being said, let's just get right into scenarios for the ES, long and short. And we'll just mark off levels. Okay. Mark off levels. We have a big gap. Okay. Above us. We have a bearish value gap that was resistant yesterday. It was last week's lows right here. Okay. So big high volume node from the past here that held the market. Stack demand. Okay. Let's open this up. All right. So it's all about the overnight. Okay. It's really what it's about here. We are going to break one of them. It's inevitable. And just a little stat, 97% of the time, the overnight high or low is touched every session. So, nestled inside isn't the best place to be. It's not. Okay. But now it makes it a little easier to know that either this is going to be resistant, we fall back, or we break out and we hit yesterday's highs. Same thing to the overnight low. We're going to break it and either hit yesterday's lows, or it's going to be, now I'm not guaranteeing we hit the highs or lows of yesterday. I don't know that that's going to happen. Okay. All I know is that overnight low and high is going to be tested. Okay. What I see here for the ES in particular is the road lower is a little harder. Now, again, when I say that, it's not like I'm bullish, like we're breaking out. It just means intraday that this move lower, it just has, look at it like a lot of support. And there's not much supply above. You have a gap, poor structure, right? It's easier ride if the market gets strong. So I'm going to start with longs. Okay. With longs, we have demand, two demand zones below us. Okay. Those are 74.53 down to 74.33. And we have 74.37 down to 74.18. We have a little baby bullish for value gap at 74.49 to 47s. Okay. Overhead, we have a bearish for value gap. Goes from 74.68 to 74.90. Okay. So, with that being said, if, okay, a couple things here. There's multiple ways that you can say to pull back into these demands, right? You can break the overnight highs or just pull back. Okay, so I'm just going to say into these supply zones, right? All right, so would be now if you go into that little bullish for value gap right here and that holds, and that little bullish for value gap holds, and you get a push and you get a higher low, that's a long. Target overnight high 74.69s, and guess where you go to? The gap fill. I'm sorry, the bottom of the gap, 74.86, yesterday's highs. Now there's poor structure here. This can really start to cook. Okay, we did that anchor view up to 7,500. All right, I don't know if that happens. All right, now if you get a deeper pullback all the way down to, let's call it, yesterday's most traded price, 74.30, still demand there, okay? And you're sweeping the overnight lows. And you come down and you try and you bloop, go back into the overnight range, get a higher low. That's your long target overnight highs, and then try to go for a 74.86 yesterday's highs. Okay, there's multitude of ways that you could trade this. Okay, there's a lot, but right now that's what I like right now. Okay, shorts. Well, let's say we come up here, this bearish value gap, and try to go back into last week's range, right, and fail, right, and you put in a lower high, and you're like, whoops, there's outflows coming out of tech. You're going to short that, and you're going to target overnight lows, 74.33. Okay, like I said, the ride down I don't think is going to be easy. However, you want to hold the runner, feel free and try to take out yesterday's lows, 74.11s. It's just so much stacked demand below us. That's what I'm saying. Okay, it still can happen. That still can happen. Okay, that honestly, I'm looking at it, is probably the only short pre-market I'm interested in. I don't see where I'm going to be excited to short anywhere in here. I don't see myself being like, yeah, this is like a great short. Not really. Okay. Let's move on to the NASDAQ. Okay, so NASDAQ, let me lift this up. Okay. So you see this demand zone held the market yesterday. Now, one thing I would notice right off the bat in the NASDAQ, okay, let's just get the NASDAQ long and short trade scenarios now. Long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ. First thing I'm noticing, okay, is, remember, ES is like really inside the overnight. I'm sorry, the overnight session is really like inside yesterday's range, right? Notice that the overnight low is very close to yesterday's lows. It's not far up inside like ES is. So that's a little different, right? Because I said SK Hynix and some memory stocks are down today, right? Those affect our markets. You don't have stacked demand like you did in an ES. Remember, so this is, I wouldn't call it trickier, but there's a lot of volume transpiring here at the overnight VPOC at 28647s, right? You can just see the sheer volume. All right, let's open this up. Okay, this right here, when you have a demand and they're both equal in a supply, I could say that to me just means choppy right off the bat. You're in the middle of the overnights, you're almost in the middle of yesterday. It's chop zone, and you got to let itself work itself out because it's right off the bat. I'm like this. Okay, like either it could go either way. I don't know. Okay, I have to look at it right off the bat. Nasdaq is not very tasty right here. Because I could be like this. Ooh, if it goes in demand, that'd be a nice long. Ooh, if it goes in supply, it would be a nice short. It's very equal. Okay. Now let's get into it. So longs, very obvious here. Okay. So a couple things. Okay. If this market very quickly uh, drives lower, and let's say it takes out the overnight lows, 28466s. Okay. And that the yesterday's low is very close to it, 28432s. Now remember, the 284 408 is last week's lows. So there's a lot of levels down here. Okay, I think this could be a bear trap. Okay, I think it might be a bear trap. If all these shorts still getting paid and you hit last week's lows, right? That could be a profit take opportunity. So let's see here. If we drop down into the 284 area and you rip back up into overnight range and yesterday's range with a higher low, and tech is not weak. Let's say memory stocks that are down in the pre-market start to get love. You are going to target, all right, overnight highs, 28782s. Now you have poor structure above you, right? Let's see if you can hit yesterday's highs, 28883s. Poor structure is that's the bottom of the gap. This could really cook the 290. Like I said, this is just possible. I don't know if it goes that high, okay? But I do see a bear trap here. Does it happen? Who knows? That's why I'm putting scenarios out there, okay? Now, what's the next one? Well, let's say the market drives higher, right? And it takes out the overnight highs, right? And then what you see is, oh man, tech's kind of strong. But let's say we start doing this, this, and this, and this. I'm going to wait, right? And possibly get a pullback to 287s. Remember that key level I talk about? That's your long. You target yesterday's highs, 28883s, and then see if you can just go higher. Maybe week to date anchor view up at 28972s. Okay. Now shorts. Okay. For a short, I need to see, right? We're in supply right now. Right. I know we could just drive. That's not my style, just to go, ooh, we're in supply short. You could do it. It could happen. Okay. I'd like to see us push up into 287s, into the supply, and there's an equal high right here around the 287s, like I talked about. If you fail there and go retest 287s, that's your short. Target overnight lows 28466s and 28432s, yesterday's lows. Okay. I don't really like much other than that. Okay, I really don't. All right. I guess at the end of the day, I'm seeing more opportunity to go long. I'm still open to whatever, but that's what I'm seeing right now. Okay. So now, real quick, my recap. All right. ES looks a little more bullish to me. All right. I just don't want to see acceptance below 74.30, and I think you have a long on your hands. Okay. It's really what I'm looking for. Okay. Remember, we're inside yesterday. Okay. NASDAQ. I think it's all about the 287s. A 287s and a 284s. Okay. Now, if the 284s, you cannot find acceptance below them, I think there's a long there. If you break 287 and hold it, I think you have a long above 287. Now, if you try to go above 287s, fail, I think you probably have a short. Okay, that is what I see going on here. Okay, now smash the like button if you enjoyed that analysis. If you can do that for me, that'd be much appreciated. And as always, please come join me. Subscribe, set that alert, give you the market news, economic calendar, all right, technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios and ES and Nasdaq futures. Okay, just gave you the scenarios. We all have a plan now. Okay, we have plans. Hopefully everybody has their own plans. I said the Nasdaq is definitely in this. It's less desirable to trade it unless some of those scenarios come out. But like right where we are right now, it could go either way. Okay, so remember, no trade's a trade. No trade is a trade. All right. Um, now, of course, if you want more in-depth coverage and you're going to join me live today, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage. Click on the homepage of my YouTube. Okay, and come join. All right. Just come join. See me live. Let me be your indicator. All right. It's education, I think, because it's the mechanics of the market that I track. All right. I won't steer you wrong. I might have a loser. I won't have a winner, but I'm not going to steer you wrong technically. I'm just not. Okay. So now, little tidbit from me. I will not be here next week. I am going to California. So everybody have a great weekend and have a great trading next week. All right. I'll catch back up the week after. All right. So if I don't see you in my Discord, I'll see everybody in, what is that, 2 weeks? All right. Take it easy.